This is how to have the perfect defense in the game. Let's talk about it. What's good, YouTube? NoGoodEman coming to you today with the best defensive blessing stones within the game. So guys, it's been a while since we talked about blessing stones, more so defensive blessing stone, and honestly, I don't think we've ever really gave a dedicated video to defensive blessing stones. So now with the latest edition of MP powered shield or mana powered shield, whichever you call it, I think now's the best time to talk about the best defensive blessing stones in the game. So strap in, folks, we got the best combos, the best ways to use them, and everything in between. But before we talk a single thing, make sure you guys leave a like on the video. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss a live or an upload, and then finally support your boy on that number one website to get those free codes. And now is the time to extend your support. So currently on screen you're seeing the steps to do so. It's very easy. You want to go to your my page section, click extend support, and then your support will be extended. Go ahead and do that. If you are one of our 600 supporters, shout out to you guys, because we did end up getting 600, which is a personal best for me. But getting back into the video, we're talking about the best defensive blessing stones in the game. Honestly, guys, there's a bunch to talk about. There's about 12 right here. So which ones are the most crucial? Which ones are the most essential? The first one that I do want to talk about is going to be aggressive defense. So offense is the best defense. How this basically works is when you guys land a basic attack, you're basically going to get a shield equal to 0.5% of your max HP. This is at the legendary variant for 10 seconds. Now, of course, this is just a minuscule amount, but if your Sun Genu does have a high amount of HP, you will see that you're actually getting a substantial amount of shield every now and then, especially if you're not getting hit. Let's say you're doing a lot of extreme evasions, you're barely getting hit within the battle, and you're stacking up those basic attacks. This is a very good defensive blessing stone to use. And why is that the case? Because if you guys are rocking support units on a Sun Genu mission, then you can go ahead and equip that support unit with, let's say, a guardian set, and that will apply that same buff. The guardian set, as it reads, the force set effect when a team member, including the user, activates the shield and increases their individual damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds. So if you literally have this on any one of your support units, then you can pair that with aggressive defense and you will see very good returns. So a defensive blessing stone is actually giving you a 10% damage increase, which is honestly insane to talk about. So honestly, it's not even too defensive, but it does also give you a shield. So again, offense is the best defense. That is one of the best ones you guys probably want to rock. The next one kind of will go in no specific order, but I very much do like KASAKA'S steel scales. So with this one, your damage taken decreases by 15%, and then you will get increased received shield effects by 15%. So if you pair this with aggressive defense, now where you're getting a shield equal to 0.5%, that's getting boosted. So the shield you're getting boosted from aggressive defense is now getting boosted via KASAKA'S steel scale. So you guys can see the various different pairings and why it's super good. The next one to talk about, another one of my personal favorites, is going to be life. So with this, when you guys enter a stage, you'll get a shield equal to 35% of your max HP for 60 seconds. And I know it's just a minute long, but honestly, if you're an endgame player, you're clearing content pretty fast, you'll probably have this shield on for a majority of the battle. And then this is very good for things like the recent workshop of Brilliant Light, the proof of strong Deimos. That is a very strong boss. So you're gonna need as much health, as much shield as you can get. So if you pair up all three of these blessing stones, guys, you will have insane amount of defenses, and there's even more blessing stones we can talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about them. The next one that I do suggest is going to be penalty quest survival. Now, depending on if you guys are very good at using extreme evasion or not, this fourth blessing stone may vary, and I do have a substitute if you're not too good at extreme evading. But if you aren't good at extreme evading, you might want to get good at extreme evading. I'm not gonna lie, because when you extreme evade up to 5 times, your defense will increase by 60%, guys. 60%. You don't want to miss out on that in the slightest. But of course, like I said, let's say you can't extreme evade too well. Let's say maybe the graphics aren't graphicing. Throw on Tenacity. I think Tenacity is a very good blessing stone substitute in that regard if you do have your 4th blessing stone slot unlocked. So the damage you take will decrease by 50% and your defense will increase by 50% where your HP is 30% or less. Now, of course, this is conditional, so you will need a lower amount of HP to even reap the benefits of Tenacity. But in a long drawn out battle, you might have lower HP in the later half of the battle. Like proof of strong Deimos, again, another very good point, because that's probably the content that's having a lot of players, let's say, die in that regard. So if you have Tenacity, you might want to rock it. But of course, there's other good substitutes. Let's say you're very bad with your defense, and not to say that's a bad thing, but of course everybody has their own personal journey. How much time you put into the game is your own journey. So I suggest Camouflage. I was a big fan of Camouflage when it initially dropped, and I used it for a good majority of my story mode journey. And I will say that the gimmick with this is when you receive damage exceeding 5% of your max HP, you will camouflage for 3 seconds and recover 5% of your HP every 1 second, and then it's a cooldown of 30 seconds. There's a good side to camouflage and there's a bad side to camouflage. So when you guys do camouflage, you won't have the ability to extreme evade while you guys are camouflaged. So let's say you disappear and the boss can't see you. The boss basically camouflage works as if the game basically says you don't exist anymore. For those 3 seconds, you genuinely don't exist. You can't extreme evade, nothing of the sort. But let's say with the recent addition of using your shadow step by summoning your shadows, maybe that's a way to supersede it if you want to go about it that way. So regardless, there's a bunch of good ones, but again, the top 4 that I do recommend, this is my current meta. As you can see, I'm ready for the Workshop of Brilliant Light hard mode Deimos on the Proof of Strong. So we got pretty much everything going, the entire fire meta, 49,000 defense, almost 50k by the way, but I'm pairing it with things like weakness detection, pulverize, let's say bloodlust, and then reawakening. But this is just currently my personal meta. Let's go ahead and talk about one of the recent changes and one of the recent additions to the blessing stones on the defensive side, and that's going to be mana powered shield. So there's a lot of gimmicks with this one, so I kind of want to talk about it, but shadows can regenerate indefinitely as long as they are supplied with mana. Now I do want to talk about this first part because it's super important. This does not mean that shadows will stay on the field for the entirety of the battle. That just means if a shadow takes a substantial amount of damage, they won't immediately disappear, and that does happen in some cases. If shadows get hit with a big attack, they will basically die, dissipate instantly. But again, with this equipped, your shadows essentially will not disappear, but of course they will disappear after their allotted time. I think it's what, like maybe 20 to 30 seconds they'll stay on the field and then they'll disappear. But let's go ahead and talk about this first bullet point. You absorb 100% of your damage taken but consume MP equal to 14% of the damage you absorb. How this basically works is literally how it says. The damage you take will not go to your health bar, but it will go to your MP bar. This can be good and bad, because if you get hit with a big wave attack, you guys will see your MP bar go down, down, and down. But if you don't have any MP left to absorb 100% of the damage, the remaining damage will be taken out of your HP. So when you guys are basically out of all your MP in the world, you will now take just regular HP damage, and then it's a cooldown of 10 seconds. Now, here's what I'll say about this. There's goods and bads with mana powered shield. The first bad thing I would say is that it doesn't apply to debuffs. So if you guys are, let's say, doing a Proof of Strong Egress, this is where I tested mana powered shield out, and I found out that you can still die without even losing all your mana. And that's because there's very different debuffs in the game. You want to think things like bleed, so much and so forth. But the good thing about this is that with mana powered shield, this is actually going to deplete our MP a little bit more. But why might that be good? Because a blessing stone that was added on the empowerment side about 2 updates ago, Desire. This isn't too used on the offensive side of things, but it's going to change very, very soon. Why is this the case? Because with Desire, if you have 60% of your MP or less remaining, your attack will increase by 24%. You're also going to start the battle with your current MP at 60%, and then if you gain the MP recovery effect, Desire removes the attack increase, yada yada yada. That last point's not too important in this regard. But if you guys have low MP, your attack will increase by 24%. Your attack will increase. There is currently no other blessing stone in the game that will give you an attack increase of 24%. So if you guys do use mana powered shield at legendary, I suggest pairing it up with Desire on legendary, and then let's say you want to do things like Intuit, go ahead and pair that up on legendary. And then I will say that I have been looking at the numbers, and it gets even crazier at the Transcendent variant. So at the Transcendent variant, dude, it's 28% of an attack increase. That is egregious. That is egregious. Almost 30% attack increase from one blessing stone alone. If we look at things like double-edged sword, this one gives you up to a 16% attack boost. This is almost double. I don't know. Desire is going to be a very, very good blessing stone within the future. Again, usually within an update, you won't see the meta shift immediately, but pay attention over the next month, over the next content to come, over the next Workshop of Brilliant Light especially, and you guys will see things like Desire being used. You'll see things like mana powered shield being used, so forth and so on. And then the pairings I do have with that, it's still going to be the same 3 that I usually talked about earlier. So we got aggressive defense, we got KASAKA'S steel skills, and then we got life. Now, of course, I do want to talk about team fight mode. So you want to think things like power destruction and guild boss, and I do have a preset for that. This is going to be the final preset we talk about today. We're going to throw on things like natural disaster. With natural disaster, it's pretty simple. In team fight mode, team members' damage taken decreases by 8%. This is honestly the only team fight blessing stone in the game, so you definitely want to throw this on. I just want to show you guys my blessing stone variants for guild boss battles and power of destruction. So this is currently what I usually rock. Things like, let's say, tenacity, and we can sub out tenacity with whatever you like. Let's say penalty quest survival, aggressive defense. You always want aggressive defense. I can't stress that enough. Aggressive defense is one of the most important blessing stones in the game, guys. Offensive and defensive side combined, it helps you out so much, and it honestly is super useful. Things like life, and then you can see the offensive pairings, things like we are one, sharp perception, bloodlust, and then reawakening. But guys, that is all the defensive blessing stones within a game. Of course, let's go ahead and talk about the ones we haven't talked about. So solidify, your damage received decreases by 1% every 6 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. I mean, honestly, this isn't a terrible one, but there's just way better blessing stones to be rocking. And then let's say if you're doing some story mode content and you're dealing with wave battles, I do think that HP extraction is a very good blessing stone to take in that regard. But of course, we usually play bosses and elite monsters. There's not too many wave battle contents of late, so I didn't really have anything to talk about it in that regard. Kangaroo's blessing, this one just increases your maximum HP. You never can go wrong with increasing your maximum HP. And then finally, daily quest completion. Look guys, I'm personally not a fan of daily quests. I think that, you know, why get another chance in the battle? I say 1 life is all I need, but hey, whatever you guys use is up to you. So this is just my suggestions. This is my thoughts and theories, but you know what matters, guys, your thoughts and theories. So go ahead and comment them below about the latest blessing stones. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Peace.